Hello, today I'm looking at Majjhima number 82, which is entitled the Ratthapala Sutta, translated as On Ratthapala. So the location is mainly in the Kuru country and in a town called Tulakatahita. I think that's the right pronunciation. And the folk in this sutta is there's Buddha with a large number of followers, or bhikkhus. Well, they're bhikkhus rather than just lay followers. Brahmin, the high caste, householders of Tulakatita, including a person called Ratthapala, his parents and friends, and later on King Kauravya. So the sutta starts with having heard good reports of this person called Gautama, Buddha, the Brahmins of the town went to Buddha to pay their respects and listen to his Dhamma, his teachings, which roused and gladdened them. Ratthapala was listening and realised it was not easy to live the holy life whilst being a householder, so he determined to go forth into homelessness. So when the Brahmin crowd had gone back to town, Ratthapala approached Buddha and stated that he wished to go forth into homelessness. But Buddha said he should first seek his parents' permission. But on seeking his parents' permission, that permission is denied, despite asking 3 times. His parents, believing that Ratthapala, their only son, brought up in comfort, would be unsuited to a life of homelessness. So after this discussion, argument, confrontation, Ratthapala lay down on the floor before his parents, saying he would stay there and die, or go forth into homelessness. His parents responded, suggesting Ratthapala enjoy the sensual life and make merit, also saying, "If you die, we will lose you unwillingly. So how could we give you permission to leave home and go into homelessness whilst you are still living?" Friends of Ratthapala also encouraged him to get up and enjoy life, asking him repeatedly to abandon his desire to go forth into homelessness. A compromise is reached, that Ratthapala's parents allow him to go forth into homelessness so long as Ratthapala visits his parents. So when Ratthapala has regained his strength, so that suggests that this incident has gone on for quite a while, with Ratthapala not eating for many days. So Ratthapala, with his parents' permission, went to Buddha to take up the life of homelessness. After a couple of weeks, Buddha left the town and returned to Savatthi. Ratthapala went into solitude, stayed alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent and resolute, and realised by himself, with direct knowledge, and attained the supreme goal, arahantship, so non-returner. Then Ratthapala went to Buddha and asked permission to visit his parents. The permission was given, with Buddha knowing that Ratthapala was incapable of abandoning the training and returning to the low life. Ratthapala made his way back to Tulakatita, and on his arms round came to his father's house. But his father, seeing this monk from a distance, turned him away, muttering about bald-pated recluses who had taken his son away. However, a slave woman, who was throwing away some food, was approached by Ratthapala, suggesting if the food was to be thrown away, then throw it away into Ratthapala's bowl. And while she was doing so, she recognised the person as Ratthapala and went to tell Ratthapala's mother. who in turn told Ratthapala's father, who went to Ratthapala as he was eating the leftover food. The meeting is fraught. Ratthapala telling his father that he went to his father's house and was rejected. But then, after some discussion, he agrees to return to the house for the next morning's alms. So the next morning, at the house, Ratthapala is plied with fine food served by his father. Piles of gold that are part of Ratthapala's inheritance are presented to him. "All this is yours," said Ratthapala's father. "Abandon the training, enjoy the wealth, and make merit." Ratthapala rejects it all, suggesting the gold should be dumped in the Ganges, as it will only bring sorrow, lamentation, pain, grief, and despair. Ratthapala also rejects his former wives, addressing them as his sisters. After eating, Ratthapala recites a poem about how all the trappings of wealth may tempt a fool, but not a seeker of truth. Then Ratthapala departed and went to King Koryaviya's gardens for his day's abiding. So, having eaten, he settled down for the day. But when King Koryaviya hears that the high-born Ratthapala is at the park of the gardens, he goes to visit him in full pomp and ceremony, with carriages and carts laden with food. So after exchanging greetings and pleasantries, the king addresses Ratthapala, saying, "There are 4 kinds of loss. Because they have undergone these 4 kinds of loss, some people take up a life of homelessness. Now the 4 kinds of loss are loss through aging, loss through sickness, loss of wealth, and loss of relatives." The king continues, "Loss through aging is a person advanced in years, come to the last stage, no longer easy to acquire or augment wealth. He is a person who takes up the yellow robe and takes up a life of homelessness. But Ratthapala, you are still young. You have not suffered loss through aging. What has he known? What have you known or seen or heard that makes you go into homelessness?" And then the king continues, "And what is loss through sickness? Here someone is afflicted, suffering, gravely ill, unable to acquire or augment wealth. He goes forth to homelessness. But Ratthapala, you are free from illness and affliction. What have you known or seen or heard that makes you go forth into homelessness?" And the third, what is loss of wealth? It is someone rich, wealthy, with many possessions, which dwindle away. He thinks it is no longer easy to acquire wealth. So with that loss of wealth, he goes forth into homelessness. But Ratthapala, you are the son of a leading clansman, have not lost wealth, so why have you gone forth into homelessness? And what of loss of relatives? Here, Ratthapala, someone has many friends, relatives, and companions. Slowly they dwindle away. And he considers it is no longer easy to acquire wealth, so he goes forth into homelessness. But Ratthapala, you have many relatives, friends, and companions, and not undergone loss. So what have you known or seen or heard to go forth into homelessness? Ratthapala then addressed the king, quoting things he has learnt from Buddha's Dhamma. Life in any world is unstable, it is swept away. Life in any world has no shelter or protector. Life in any world has nothing of its own. A person has to leave all and pass on. Life in any world is incomplete, the slave of craving. Knowing this, as taught by the Buddha, I went forth into homelessness. Ratthapala then asked the king if he is as fit and sturdy as he was when he was a youth. The king replies that he is approaching 80 years old and he is no longer fit and sturdy. So Ratthapala says, this is why the Buddha said life is unstable and it is swept away. The king responds, I have many elephant troops, cavalry, chariot troops, who will subdue any threat. So how can you say the world has no shelter or protector? But, great king, do you have any ailments? The king replies, I do have a chronic wind ailment, and sometimes my companions think that I, King Kararia, am about to die. And, great king, can you share this pain with your companions so you feel less pain? Or do you feel the pain alone? The king responds, Ratthapala, I cannot command my companions thus. I have to feel the pain alone. And, Ratthapala replies, this is what the Buddha said, life has no shelter or protector. And when I knew, saw and heard this, I went forth into homelessness. The king agrees that Buddha has expressed it well. Then the sutta continues explaining that life has nothing of its own, that when a person passes on, all their gold and wealth is left behind, and people will pass on according to their actions. Which, when Ratthapala heard this from Buddha, he went forth into homelessness. The king again agrees that Buddha expressed it well. And then Ratthapala explains to the king about life being endless craving, asking the king if he would conquer another rich kingdom to the north, and then a kingdom to the south, and then a kingdom to the east. It is because of this endless craving that I heard from the Buddha that I went forth into homelessness, said Ratthapala. The king agrees, life is incomplete, insatiate, the slave of craving. It has been well expressed by the Buddha. The sutta then ends with Ratthapala reciting another poem, summarised as follows. Wealthy men from ignorance hoard their wealth, not giving it away, but seeking further sensual pleasures. A king who has conquered many lands still seeks to conquer more. People encounter their deaths with craving unabated, not just kings. And when the body is on the funeral pyre, no relatives or friends can offer shelter or refuge. This being must pass on according to his actions. Nothing can follow him, child, nor wife, nor wealth, nor royal estate. Longevity is not acquired with wealth. Prosperity cannot abandon old age. All will die, the fool and the sage, but whilst the fool lies stricken by his folly, no sage is affected by the touch. So better is wisdom here than wealth, since by wisdom one gains the first goal, and one gains the final goal. And of this wisdom a little goes on to the next world. So, king, I have gone forth. Better is the recluse's life assured. And there ends Majjhima number 82, the Ratthapala Sutta. Thanks for watching.